panelists today. Go ahead and check them out, and we're gonna
And
get
while you
started.
guys check the panelists out, we're gonna wait for everybody else to arrive because we're gonna have 4 panelists today. And so just let's watch a little video about Connect.Club so everybody could be on board with the app and just understand it a little bit better.
Absolutely. All right, guys, that was an awesome video. One of the things I wanted to talk about definitely is shout out to the United Metaverse Club here, that's created by Connect.Club. We contribute to the metaverse future by sharing knowledge, observations, and insights to help people and businesses to develop the strategies for the metaverse. Please join the United Metaverse Club. You can click my face here on the profile, so just tap on me and hit that bell, and you'll be able to always get notifications for the next event. So a few housekeeping rules before we get started in this amazing conversation, talking about building branding in Web 3.0 and how companies can use NFTs. Is that hi to all my lovely speakers. Definitely want you all to be able to just get these rules. And people in the audience, you can join the stage to ask questions at the end during the Q&A session. It'll be about the last 10 to 15 minutes of the conversation. This conversation will be about an hour. So about the 45-minute mark, you can go ahead and raise your hand and come on stage if you want to join. If you want to join the room now and just sit in one of these lovely seats, you're going to click that yellow button, the speaking head button, and have to sit in one of those blue chairs. Please no walking on the stage before Q&A session, just to be able to give our lovely panelists some room to be able to converse. And those who step on the stage during the panel, we will have to send you back to the audience. Tap on people's profiles, guys. Make sure you connect with our amazing speakers and make sure that you connect with each other. This is Connect Club. This is what we do here. And walking. So you can walk by just tapping on your screen to be able to move to where you want to go. You can pinch the screen so you can zoom in and out like you would like on regular any other app. And definitely invite your friends to join. You're going to click that plus sign and let's invite at least 5 to 10 more people in the room in this amazing conversation. And definitely speakers, I would love to be able to give you an opportunity to all introduce yourselves one by one, and then we're going to get started, guys. So I'm just going to go in the order that's kind of closest for me. Xander, thank you so much for joining us. Please, I want to go ahead and I'm gonna want you to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
I know there's some amazing things, and I would love for you to everybody to come on camera, and we're just gonna go in order. And I'm gonna ask y'all some amazing questions because I have a lot of questions for you all. Y'all have excellent backgrounds, and let's go ahead and get started today.
Right on. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. My name is Xander Sims. I'm a creative technologist, NFT artist, and entrepreneur from St. Louis, Missouri. I've been in the Web3 and metaverse space for the last about 9 months. I'm tapped into by Fortune 500 companies to assist with NFT strategy, NFT design, and metaverse strategy, as well as some really exciting Web3 brands that are wanting to kind of also capitalize on, the communities and social media followings of Web2. So I'm sitting in a nice intersection, and I'm really grateful to be here and share the stage with this amazing panel.
Thank you. We love having you here, Xander. Definitely want to go ahead and pass the mic to Seth for him to be able to introduce himself to our amazing audience.
Hello, I am Seth. I'm grateful to be on this panel with this group, some of my peers and some of my co-inspirators for sure. Great to see you, Bex, and great to see you, Xander. I am currently I'm a VP of Innovation and Strategy for Web3. I am with Subnation, subnation.gg. We are a cultural lifestyle gaming and Web3 brand strategy and marketing agency, fully vertical. I come from gaming, was with Riot Games in Berlin for several years, was product lead for all of their esports, was with Blizzard Entertainment for years, and then early on in my career helped to kick off what is Call of Duty esports now with their Call of Duty championships. Super excited about this space. Web3 is now that same feeling of what was going on in those early days of esports and trying to convince people that we would fill stadiums. And now we fill Olympic stadiums around the world. It's so awesome. The energy is great. And everybody that you see on this panel, I know and I see every day build with the community. It's so good. Jump in for sure. Great to be here.
Thank you so much, Seth. We appreciate you being here. Bex, look, the mic is yours, the floor is yours. Please introduce yourself to our amazing audience.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Really great to be here. I'm really excited to be talking on this panel today. Love the innovation of this particular app as well. It's super, super cool. Hello, everyone. I'm Bex. I am the founder of Nifty World NFT. Nifty World NFT is an educational platform and consultancy for new and existing digital wallet holders. So we help onboard people into the NFT space and Web3 space, and we also help creators and brands build and grow within this space as well. It's a really exciting time, I think, not just for lots of people in the space, but particularly for women in this space. And as the scene of NFTs kind of starts to grow in London in particular, it's really my pleasure to be a part of this growing community as well as we have over here. So as previously said, it's really great to be sat here amongst my fantastic peers and other people that I really admire in this space. I come from a broadcasting background, 10 years as a tech and film journalist, and post-pandemic moved into this new era of Web3 and haven't looked back. Absolutely love it. So really pleased to be joining the discussion today.
Thank you so much, Bex. We're excited to have you. And last but not least, definitely Anthony. Love to be able to hear from you and be able to give you a chance to introduce yourself as well. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. So Anthony Duca, I am a technologist at heart. I sit sort of in the intersection of psychology and technology, trying to help simplify complexity and help creators be able to create with new technologies. So I've been in the 3D technology industry for 20 years. It wasn't called the metaverse, but it was sort of metaverse-like even 20 years ago. There was even VR back then. It was just clunky and difficult to use. But it's exciting to see that it's coming of age, and 3D really is going to be something that is ubiquitous and everybody can experience, and the metaverse is going to bring that to us. So it's really exciting. Cavernous has a metaverse platform, And it's really focused around empowering creators to be able to easily build and deploy their own destination in the metaverse to any device at scale. So you can have your own community, your own destination, as well as participate in the walled gardens. We think it's important, just like everybody has websites, we think there's going to be a ton of destinations in the metaverse, and you're just going to hop from one to the other. And we need a lot of tools to help build that stuff. And we're one of those companies. And I would like to say one thing. I've been in the technology industry, like I said, for such a long time. And what an exciting time to see a demographic of this audience that, 20 years ago, it didn't look like this. And so to be in a cutting edge new technology and have this sort of demographic, this different set of people here, it's awesome. This was always the vision. So it took Web3 to get us here. Awesome.
Like, I totally agree. And thank you so much, Anthony. Guys in the audience, let's throw our amazing speakers up some love. Give them some love. Let's throw them up some hearts, some thumbs up. These, I mean, when I tell you the panelists here are just top grade, amazing. I feel honored to be here. And guys, also do us a favor. We here at Connect.Club, we have a really dope Discord. Click the link in my profile and join our Discord. And you can also have that conversation as we get started. So I have my first question is for Seth. No particular order, guys, but my first question for Seth, and thank you again for joining us today, is with your experience in the gaming industry, or some of the top companies like Activision, and also just being in business, do you see that these gaming companies will eventually adopt Web3 technology anytime soon? Is that something that you feel like is going to happen, is happening, or is it kind of like a year scope? Give us an idea of just kind of the climate based on your background experience. Oh, I think you're muted.
Great question. There are a lot of companies, developers, product leads, CEOs, founders that are solving this question today. Some of those are going to be the original play to earns, which is like the next wave of like gaming, as it was free to play first. You're looking at Guild of Guardians. You're looking at Axie Infinity, of course. But what you're really going to, when you see this really start to break, is when you're going to see the endemic games move into that space. And they are. For example, you may have seen some backlash when Ubisoft said, we're going to drop NFTs. Well, they had been an original part of blockchain gaming organization for years before they had even mentioned it. So they've been in the space. And you'll see Tim Sweeney make announcements, and you'll see other CEOs make announcements, and that's cool. But they're going to break through after this current wave that's building and creating in this space. Lots of big promises, and tokens first is one of those things that gamers are suspect on, because there's really not so many gamer or game developers on the teams, and there's more tokenomics and crypto first folks. But what you're seeing right now is a theory craft for me with Joe Tung, who used to be with Riot Games, is one that I've got huge respect for what they're doing. So it's traditional gamers coming in and being native NFT and Web3 gaming. So they get it both. They're building out both. The sandbox and what they're doing for quote unquote social clubs and experiences with brands, amazing. All of these efforts that are happening across, Xander had mentioned, and Bex had mentioned, these efforts, it's all about mass adoption of Web3 and blockchain technologies, and really getting, those rituals down and removing those barriers. So will Microsoft come in? Absolutely. I hope they get it right. Will Blizzard, will Ubisoft? Yes and yes. CSGO has been making skins for years.
Hey, Seth, we're having some audio issues hearing you. You mind repeating that last? You said last sentence.
Community of gamers that had spent 10 years inside of your community, an opportunity to own a rare one of 10,000s, and there will never be another. And it turned around and went on the secondary market. It was worth $400,000. You might end up seeing people say, hey, Web3 is kind of cool. But it's a balancing thing. So
Right.
yes, the gaming companies are coming, super excited about the next wave and even this first wave of crypto native gaming. But then look forward to the other, the AAA developers and publishers coming in for sure.
Oh, that's so exciting. And that just pivots right into my next question. This is for Xander. You being one of the top creative technologists being tapped by even Fortune 500 companies in Web 2 and Web 3, what do you think are essential steps for Web 2 companies to cross over into Web 3?
Definitely. So I think it can be summed up into two words. There's two parts of it, but the first one is know thyself. I think you need to have a really good idea of who you are and who you want to be going forward internally. You know, do your 50 hours of research, I think, internally about what's going on in like companies or who you can model yourself after. Maybe if you're a Web 2 brand and you have to be very careful with your image and your branding and your already established market, you know, just do your 50 hours of research and see who you want to become. And then the second part is always start with community. Be community focused. So what that could mean is you could actually join another community or empower another community and start your process in that way. You can learn, be humble and learn and support others, and in that way you'll very authentically build connections and start to build a community. The second would be to kind of transfer your existing customer base, try to transition them into Web3 by catering to their needs. Like if you have products, for instance, in a long history, like a car company, I can't say the name of, but a car company, for instance,
Right.
one of the largest manufacturer car companies, they created a kind of like a keepsake for one of their course trainings for the participants. They go through like a paid racing course, and then at the end of it they get a NFT, because most of the demographic for their company was not like crypto native or digital native,
Right.
but they could just begin to get like a digital collectible that might pique their interest in something they could have a physical version of and like a digital version of. So and just to reiterate, keep it simple, know thyself, and always start with community.
Oh, I love that. That's like literally my heart right there. Me being a part of a community of 50 something thousand people online, I understand the importance of it. And something you said, I really want to now ask Bex, because you're talking about community, you're talking about keeping it simple, and her coming from being the founder of Nifty World, an educational resource for creators and collectors of NFT projects. Bex, what do you think are the top keys to success for building a brand in Web3? Like, especially, I'm sure you've seen, and I'm going to have another question for you later on, but I'm sure you've seen a lot of hiccups. So what do you feel like those top keys to success are?
I have seen so many hiccups in the year that I've been in this space, and it feels like a lifetime.
Yes.
Yeah, like what Xander said, community is absolutely key. And I think the advice I'd give is like, don't rush it. I know we feel like, like a day is like a week and a week is like a year in this space, and everyone kind of rushes and feels like we're behind the whole time. But actually, building up the community before you drop a project, if you're a brand or a creator or whatever, is so important. And I speak time and time again with creators who are like, but I've got to drop it, a stealth drop. I've got to drop this project now. And I kind of go, why? What's the point of dropping it if you haven't got an audience, if you haven't got people who are going to buy into it? Those are kind of some of the problems that I see. And it's so much harder for those people to then do some of that work and rebuild the trust of the community afterwards. And I think that's part of the issues that I think, and we have to recognize the fact that this is an evolving new space. We're all learning, we're all kind of changing. There's no rule books that have been written yet, and we're all still kind of writing those chapters. But what you can do is you can take note from the really successful projects, learn how to apply that to what you're doing. And it's not going to be for everyone. Not everyone's going to be a Bored Ape, not everyone's going to be a World of Women, but you can take the elements that are resonating with you as a creator and you as a brand and saying this is what's worked really well for them, and understanding your customer, understanding your audience in Web3, because they're very different to the audience of Web2 and so on and so forth, and just really embracing that. And I think a lot of people sometimes aren't willing to take the time to learn because they feel like they've got the FOMO. And so my advice is always like, take your time. I'm still learning. Everyone on this panel is still learning.
Absolutely.
We're not experts yet. So it's okay to be, slightly still educating yourself.
Oh, that's excellent. Still educating yourself. And we say all the time, there are no true experts. But I did want to ask Anthony, I want to ask you a question. You being the co-founder of Cavernous and helping to build metaverses, for any new companies want to build a brand, what things do they need to have in place before building in the metaverse?
Excellent. I just wanted to play off of what Bex was saying. And I think as humans, we get caught up in the notion of failure and mistakes is a bad thing, and hiccups are a bad thing, but they're a good thing because that means you're experimenting. And the more mistakes and failures you're having, the more experimentation you're doing, and the more we're lifting this industry up. And we all have to be sort of innovators and entrepreneurs, whether you're working for a company or not. I like to say that at Cavernous, everybody on our team, we're 25 people, you're all entrepreneurs because we're all inventing together. So if we all have that mindset that we're going to fail, we're going to fall down, but we're going to stand up, and together we're going to do something great as a community. Geez, this is like a renaissance in technology and art and creativity. It's moving us to a whole nother level as a society, where I feel like that was getting squished out of schools and stuff, but it's coming back in spades. And I salute everybody here that is helping drive this forward. But to your question,
No, I love it.
I'd like to take a moment just to talk about what is the metaverse, because everybody has a different definition. I like to think of it broadly. And this is my opinion. There's no right answer to this, but I like to think of the metaverse as the next generation, the next visual layer on the internet. So today, the web browser is your interface to the internet. In the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be the metaverse. It's going to be these immersive experiences. And we're going to get to be able to stand up, get away from the computer and interact. And I think like that's a huge thing for humankind, that we can mobilize, because we're all sitting and sedentary so much. So just the power of being able to get up and interact. I'm standing right now. I stand a lot. I have VR devices. I'm in the metaverse. I'm interacting. I'm getting exercise. I'm moving, keeping healthy. Like these things are important. But the metaverse is this new visual layer. What we're in right now could be considered a metaverse. It's 2.5D. It doesn't have to be 3D. This is amazing.
Absolutely.
I love this experience. This Connect.Club. I love the framing of it. It's fantastic. And this is going to be something 10 years from now. We're still going to do things like this as well as 3D. So we don't have to get confused. The metaverse isn't VR. Don't get confused by what Meta pushes and their message and their sort of walled garden. It's everything. It's just this new experiential layer on the internet. And so what do brands need to think about? I think one of the most important things is you got to remember, like, I'm not an expert on branding and marketing. I'm a technologist, right? But I read a little here and there when it comes to branding and marketing. And most of that is passive. And so you're watching videos, you're reading something. You may go to a store, it's merchandise, but it's still a bit of a passive experience. The metaverse is another level. It's a huge leap from that. It's an interactive experience. It is a true experience. And so you have to remember, whatever you're going to design and put in this metaverse, it's going to be there for a long period of time. People are going to be able to free roam. And to play off of what Bex was saying is that you don't have to rush it. Don't have FOMO. This is a long-term thing. second mover sometimes is better than first mover. You know, I've always been the first mover, but now I'm also a second mover because we've been doing this for 6 years. So we were a first mover. Now we're sort of like a second mover in the same company. But it takes time. Don't rush it, because you're going to build an interactive experience that lasts a long time, that people can interact with. It takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of storytelling. And I can see Xander is big into storytelling. He could probably contribute a lot on that part of it. But it's preparing the story, it's getting yourself ready. And also you have to remember that in the metaverse, people are doing things. And there's this thing called the cone of learning. And it talks about cognitive retention. So you remember 10% of what you read, 20% of what you hear, 30% of what you see, you know, and all the way down to 90% of what you do. So I think from a brand, just remember that you're creating an experience that is going to stick in people's memory. And so be careful on what you do, because if it is bad, that bad thing will stick in the memory for a long time. If it is good, that will stick in the memory, but because people will be doing and experiencing. So those are sort of my thoughts on where we are going from a branding perspective and things to think
and
about.
I love what you were saying, absolutely, because it is that other layer. And very much so, like you said, we are in the metaverse experience right now here in Connect.Club. And speaking of Connect.Club, do me a favor, guys, join our Discord, click the link in my bio, and just hop in so we can continue having these type of conversations, even past this amazing room. And guys, let's throw up some love again to our panelists. They're just providing amazing insight and what they have to offer. And I'm learning so much, as Bex was saying, we're all on this like road to learning, and that's what all the speakers have already. That's the sentiments that is here today. I want to ask a question and go back to Xander, and I wanted to get your opinion on how some of these brands, these Web 2 or 3 brands, how do you feel like how can they use NFTs to better build a brand? Like, what do you feel like NFTs have to offer in terms of brand building, in your opinion, Xander?
Definitely. So man, they're like, you know, I guess the way I look at it is almost like they're people think of them now. I like to consider them like an infrastructure layer, kind of like an infrastructure layer, because there's so much that they can do. They open up almost like a new media thing. For instance, one project I'm involved in is called the Ness Address. And the Ness Address is actually the first NFT designed by a blind designer. She partnered, it's really cool. She partnered with Ignis Studios, Ernest Spicer, and together they created this wedding dress, you know, which had never really been done before. And when they brought me onto the project, another thing is also you can play smaller roles on projects. You don't always have to be, you don't have to carry the project fully. Like if you can collaborate in this true spirit of Web3, I think you can learn a lot and like go get interested and involved in things that aren't necessarily like your niche, and learn a lot. But with this Ness Address, we partnered with 3DM to bring it to Metaverse Fashion Week, the first Metaverse Fashion Week, and some of my co-panelists here were there and had cool projects there as well. And Kathy Hackle, you know, the godmother of the Metaverse, got to wear this wedding dress. And what I think is so beautiful about the Ness Address and where brands can really have an opportunity to connect and shine is storytelling or mythology that transcends the technology. You know, so the story of a blind designer creating a wedding dress that debuts at the first Metaverse Fashion Week and is going on to be sold and put into physical production, I think can capture the imagination of anyone, you know, from any time period. Like if you have to travel, in a time machine and explain what your project is, your NFT is, to someone from the 90s who doesn't understand the technology, you should still be able to explain it to them, you know.
Right.
Or another analogy I heard is like if you can explain your project to a 6-year-old and then that 6-year-old can go and explain it to one of their friends, then you're in a good spot, you know. Absolutely. So just communicate the basic idea, the basic idea of it, and that can help capture imagination. That can really just, in mythology is what a lot of branding is built off of, innovation and storytelling. So I think that'll help connect your audience to whatever projects you're doing, and whatever technology and advanced technology that you're utilizing, because there's so many AI, VR, incredible technologies in this metaverse ecosystem that it becomes like perplexing or daunting sometimes to try to explain all of it. But if you can, in the core essence of storytelling and create mythology, I think that will be an infrastructure layer to just connect to more minds.
Oh, I love that. I love the art of storytelling. Me being in a graphical background and branding, it's like what you said is 100% true. And these things that I think I like what you said about it being like a layer of just infrastructure that a lot of companies should look at. And my next question is for Seth. In terms of like, I want to just get your opinion on this, Seth. Like, do you think NFTs should be be a part of building a gaming company's brand? Like, should they use NFTs, or like, what is your opinion on that?
Yes.
Okay, why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Absolutely. This is where we go. I don't want to pitch the initial, the initial pitches for this was ownership, and don't you want to, those games own that stuff and they can shut that off, and all of that. That pitch after a while kind of turned into like it was going out things to sell something else, and I got it. I was all there for it. But when we see some of the things that are truly happening, and we're talking about infrastructure, Xander had touched about it, and we talked about innovation. And so the projects that have really been most interesting are the ones that have innovated on the blockchain smart contract level, okay? Or the gaming projects that have been interesting have been the ones that have innovated on what community gaming looks like. And if you look at what Dom Hoffman did with Loot, there is no game, but it's one of the most mind-bending games that are out there. Or you look at Neo Tokyo, and you see that can be something that goes all across all of our connected worlds. So from Twitter to hashtags to emojis to all of the worlds that we play in. And so you look at collectibles and you look at NFTs, it should definitely be a part of like the bedrock of gaming, but it's going to have to be done right, because if you were to look at like gaming as, for what its core thing is for our users: fun, community, having fun with your friends, being able to progress, to be able to grow, develop. But if you introduce this piece in it to where it makes the shortest path between two distances in order to gain the most value out of your time, it then will end up bypassing all of the things that you'd have to do, the side quests and the other missions that really bring out the storytelling and the innovation side of these games. And so it can't be NFTs first and tokens first, but I do love tokenomics and I do love game theory inside of that space, but they have to be weaved together. EVE Online has been doing it for years. They are as close to anybody who has a value system that is similar to NFTs than anybody that's out there. Same with CSGO and their skins on the secondary market. But NFTs will have to go beyond that speculative aspect and move into the Murat Pak style of innovation of what that value and that utility is going to be. And I mean, if you were to see your NFTs in game change with seasons, or change with an update or a pack, into maybe even have, and I mean, I'd say something like have thoughts and feelings, or be able to have some kind of like association with the person and their sentiments and their feelings, then it gets really, really interesting. And then I just want to just touch on this with Bexy and Xander have all said is, this is a space is about learn by doing. And, every single step that I've taken inside of here has been to learn that next thing and to learn what that next thing was beyond that. And ravenous
Right.
for information. I've never wanted to learn more in my life. And then it becomes a share and collaborate. You have to pass back down. Like, we don't know, but somebody knows just a little bit more from you. And I've seen folks that I've shared information about this space, and I know they went to other people and they're far ahead of the game than I am right now. And I'm watching them going, how did you do that? How did you do that? And the last thing to say is, this is a great convergence. I started with gaming. I started with XR. Lux Machina was my first piece. Unreal Engine was there. In-camera VFX. And then you see everything now converging at this massively rapid pace. It's been years in the making, but
Right.
you're seeing innovations happen at a clip. Before Meta dropped their Ray-Ban glasses and they were just video recorders, there was a massive amount of innovation that was happening inside of the AR space. And it's just super exciting. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that amazing feedback, because when I know, right? It
Yeah, a
really
little
made me
shout
feel
out for
inspired.
Seth.
It was
Love it.
amazing.
Yeah.
Love
And
it.
look,
Like
I
it or love
love
it. Love it.
everything that he said. And this made me just want to ask this question to Anthony. You know, what is your approach? And we're already talking about gaming and VR, AR. What is your approach to providing? You think that you should be able to provide these branded experiences? We've already been talking about kind of storytelling and different things of those things, in that nature. What is your approach do you feel like companies should take to building these branding experiences? Talk a little bit more about those things.
Yeah, for sure. And I like to just hear, this is why I love this industry. The amount of information that's overwhelming, because we all know we're swimming in it. We all know we're learning together. And just on this panel, the authenticity, the vulnerability, all those things, this is like such a refreshing thing in the world of technology. And so it gives me a lot of hope for the future, where we have 6 companies that rule the world on Web 2, and Web 3 really is about moving us to some independence. And but I just want to talk a little bit before we come back to the experience of branding. I want to just talk about Web 3, because I think as we're all learning together, Web 3 really is a term that I came across 6 months ago. And when someone asked me the question, I just sort of fumbled my way through it and then went and did a lot of research to understand, like, what is this thing, Web 3?
Right.
And I'm a long-time blockchain person. I was minting Bitcoins in 2013 on 4 big rigs in my garage with 4 graphics cards in each one. And my wife thought I was crazy, and then it turns out that I wasn't. But I am crazy. So, to all the crazies out there.
Hey, we're here.
But Web 3 at the core, I mean, the fundamentals of the internet are compute, network, and storage. And so what does Web 3 mean in that world? It's really about compute and storage. It's about storing your data. It's about, where is the data stored? Is it centralized or decentralized? And so that's like things you own, which is now known as NFTs. Those are now decentralized. The record of ownership is on the blockchain. And what that means for the humankind is significant. And thanks to all the artists out there that have sort of really been the first amazing use case for it, but we're going to go way beyond art. It's going to be super exciting. And then identity, like having your identity decentralized, that you could control, huge. It moves us away from the powers of these 6 consolidated systems, and it gives us the potential to actually continue to have entrepreneurship and innovation. But so as far as like bringing in the Web3 and the experience part to a brand, you think about, like, so you have to tell a story. You need to be able to really flesh out your strategy and your goals. And Xander was talking about, you really have to think through what you're going to be doing, really do your research. Super important, because there's lots of ways to go about creating an experience in the metaverse. And you have to feel free to a little in sandbox, but really it's about life happening, and it's about energy and activity. And so we haven't fully seen what a metaverse experience is yet, but we're going to start to experience that, I think, in the next year. We'll start to see these living worlds. And I also believe like the next wave of NFT art isn't going to be these generative projects or these PFPs. It's going to be an art experience. So you're going to sell as an NFT a full experience that is a metaverse experience that you're going to be able to buy and then go in and interact with versus just a art or a 3D model. So it's going to be a whole nother level of capability and experiential stuff that we have coming. I do want to talk one more thing about like NFTs. And so there's multiple ways to think about an NFT. There is as a brand. Do you want to offer an NFT that is something digital, like it's a digital good, whether it's images or whether it's fashion, or do you want it to be a phygital, which is like a physical and a digital? So when you sell the digital good, does it come with a physical good that gets shipped to you? Or does the NFT have a utility to it beyond just the actual goods and services or the goods that you're buying? Is it a part of a loyalty and a rewards program? So these are the things you need to think about when you think about an NFT. Is like it's far beyond just a digital thing. It's got this whole connection to the physical world and this whole connection to your community that gives you the opportunity to engage, energize, and build your community even stronger.
That was an excellent answer, Anthony. And that definition for us to really understand like what Web3 is, I think that helps us give a better scope of where we're going. Being able to own parts of the internet, being able to track ownership, and to be able to have those things, that's major and what we're coming up on. And my last question is going to be for you, Bex, and then we're going to open up Q&A. Is Bex, what mistakes do you think should be avoided in building in Web3, especially you can even talk about in terms of NFTs? What mistakes do you feel like?
There's so many. I did a video on this actually quite recently because there are so many things that stand out to me. And they're kind of marketing mistakes. I think I want to touch a little bit on things that both Seth and also Anthony have said in both of their conversations, because Seth was talking about kind of from a gaming perspective, what I believe is really strong for brands to do and for creators to do is their KYC, know your customer, right? Yes, and if we think about, if people rush and they don't really delve into who their customers are, even if you're a Web 2 native company, you've got that wrong. It's kind of basic principles still apply. And people think that because we're in the Web 3 space, that these principles go out the window and we're trying to do something completely new, when actually there are certain things that will work from Web 2 into Web 3 and certain things that won't. And one of the things that I know, and I know this from my nephew who's a gamer, is that kids who are gamers are the next generation of those who will be native to NFTs, the metaverse, everything else, because they're the ones who have already learned how to trade for skins or for weapons or whatever it is. They already know what we're doing. We don't have to retell them that story. We don't have to kind of reiterate that to them. So then I would think, if I was a brand planning for the next 3, 5, 10 years in this space, is target that customer who's going to grow with your brand. And that's something, and build for a longer term future. And then I think to what Anthony was saying about, I think it was either, there's 2 key words I always use, and he picked up on one of them, and it's hope and it's opportunity. And the opportunity within the metaverse, which I think a lot of people kind of dismiss. And believe me, I have had conversations with friends, with family, when I've said, look, guys, I really think you should buy some land in the metaverse. I've done it. I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I think it's really important. They've kind of gone, oh my goodness, it's a cult. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's all this kind of stuff. And I go, right, okay. I know. Upsetting at the time when you hear it from family members, but it is. Because the thing is that all we want, I think what people forget is that there's absolutely no benefit to me if someone else buys land or buys an NFT or whatever. I'm doing it because we're so early, and this is the early days of Bitcoin, and it's that equivalent. And I kind of think to myself, God, if I had thought about this in 2013, imagine where I'd be now, and this is my opportunity and my time. And I think those who are jumping on the bandwagon now know it. And I've worked with banks who are now embracing the metaverse and who are now opening it, like highly regulated industries are really opening the doors to this. And if they're starting to understand it and get to know it, then there's big opportunities for everyone else. But what I am seeing is a massive mistake is that a lot of people are allocating chief metaverse officers or people like those kind of terms to people, but actually those people don't actually know what they're doing. They're just learning on the spot. And this is kind of where it comes to no experts. And yet there are so many people in this space, and it's a very generous space, the NFT community, the metaverse community, and the Web3 community, who are willing to advise and give and consult for these companies because they're living it day in and day out. And I think if some of these brands actually turn to some of these people that they follow on NFT Twitter or LinkedIn or other places who are continually giving the thought leadership that is needed, a lot more businesses and brands will thrive in this space a lot quicker than they think they will. And we are seeing that I find this quite endearing that actually certain brands aren't getting it right, because for us as the little guy, who is, you know, suddenly early to this amazing space and opportunity, when you see a brand fail, a big brand fail or not quite get it right, it kind of makes you kind of go, yes, amazing. And the way that, you know, I'll be totally transparent with this. Adidas, when they dropped their NFT, they didn't get it right on mint day and they had to apologize, and they were, you know, and they're now opening their doors to their NFT wallet holders tomorrow to claim the physical merchandise. And I went on their Discord today and they're still slightly failing, which makes me laugh, because as you go into verify on their Discord, they have this whole thing about, we will never DM you, we will never do, you know, we will never contact you or anything like that. And yet to verify, they have to DM you. Right? So I was going, guys, I can't even get into your Discord. It just makes me laugh. And it's kind of those small little things that I still find endearing, because I'm like, we're all on a level playing field. And that's a really positive thing. So again, education is key. I'm going to come back to that. Education, bringing in the right people from the community. We're a really generous bunch. We're here to help. You just have to ask. That's the main thing. And then the opportunity, as Anthony alluded to, the way this is going to progress in the future, you know, beyond phone screens, computer screens, everything like that, haptics, that kind of level of immersion, of being able to fully immerse yourself, Ready Player One style, into the metaverse, where that can take you and your digital twin and your opportunity for where you can take your business in the future is almost unfathomable in the mindset right now. But for anyone, the last thing I'm going to say on this is, for anyone who has a business, thinking when YouTube, when Instagram all launched, when, you know, all those kind of platforms launched, and you didn't jump on it at that time, and you waited till 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years later, and then go when everyone's doing it, this is your opportunity in a new space to jump on it early. Educate yourself, get in there, understand what you're doing, and embrace it, and try and build within this space, and that will see you in a good stead.
Oh, Bex, I couldn't have said it better myself. I'm someone that I commit myself to educating people every week for 2 hours a week. And it's so funny what you said about the Discord, and not like these bigger companies not understanding the culture of how to really connect with their customers. It's hilarious, because I help build Discord, and I have like probably too many Discord servers. I can't even count them. But it's hilarious and funny, but it does make you feel empowered to know that you are ahead and you are on the same level as these traditionally larger corporations. And guys, we want to thank you so much for being here. Let's throw up some love to our amazing panelists. I mean, this is an awesome conversation. If you want to come ask them a question, Q&A is now officially open. Please raise your hand, come up on stage. And let's continue for the next 10 minutes that we have for the time remaining. And definitely, panelists, if you have questions for each other, we'd love for you to go ahead and ask those questions as well.
I got a quick question for you, Kamaya. I see that there's comments in the app, and I was wondering, how do you go and look at the comments? I couldn't, or is that not true? Looks like there's 23 comments. I was interested in what people were saying.
Yeah, I was trying to find that as well. I couldn't click on it.
I think those are more shared. I know I
Oh.
haven't been able to.
I can help you with that. I can answer.
Oh,
that
okay,
question.
thanks.
So when you see 23 with a common thing, it means that we have 23 people in the audience. So in the room, exactly. And 18 are in a pop-up audience. So 23 people are here and can go on stage and ask a question. And 17 are in the pop-up audience, which they can later join the audience that you see now on your screen.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, everybody better give Christine a follow. She saves all our lives here on Connect Club. Okay, great. We have a few people that have questions. We're gonna go straight to the first.
Hello,
Hey,
Charmaine. Hi, how are you?
Doing excellent.
Awesome.
Go ahead and ask your question. And the
Awesome.
next person, I saw someone else will come up. You can just kind of stand near the stage, and we'll go to get to you next.
Yes, thank you so much for y'all being here. I've learned so much in this meeting. I truly appreciate it. I wanted to know more about how you were saying like the phygital and also maybe more on the like music or verbal. I am a narrator trying to hone those skills and create NFTs. How or what do you suggest I can go about moving that along? Baby steps, learning about NFT and Web3.
Well, I guess that's for anyone. You kind of had two questions. So you're saying, how can you go about better learning how to create NFTs as a narrator?
Yes, as the I guess a voice or audio NFT.
Okay.
I could take a little bit of that part. I just had a quick piece of advice. You can just search some of the, like OpenSea. They have different categories of products, and you can just go search and see what other people are doing, and love and favorite the ones you like, and then kind of like start experimenting with recreating those, or finding a way to incorporate bits of them into your first project.
Maybe. Oh,
Go ahead.
I was okay. Let me just say one thing, Bex, and then you can go ahead and. I was going to go a level down just to understand what it means to have an NFT. For people that are not familiar with that, an NFT is a set of data that's on the blockchain. So that when you do NFT, it has a bunch of data attached to it, and that data typically is the link to the actual digit. So link to the JPEG. It could be a link to the 3D model, right? It could be whatever you want in that data. It could be a link to an audio file. So that's what's on the blockchain. And then the file itself is typically stored somewhere else, which it's these days it's stored on another type of blockchain called IPFS, which is a way to store data that is not centralized. And there's another one called Arweave. So when you create your NFT, if you're creating an audio NFT, you're going to have a file that's an MP3 or a .wave or some sort of file that's now stored somewhere, which you can research how to do that. And then you're going to mint it. That's going to be the data of that mint is going to be a link to where that data exists. So just a little technical information for you out there.
If I could tag in with some of the, like let's riff and let's be creative inside of the space pieces. When you look at NFTs and where this is going, music is going to be huge. The written word in books is already. But what you can do is you can take NFTs, break them up into pieces and parts, and then have them become whole by like. And sorry for getting heady in this space really quick, but you can then burn them to merge them together. So, for example, if you were to have spoken word and you had a long form piece, break that up into pieces and parts, and then if you were to have a collector wants to merge those together, they can bring those together. If not, then you have a community of collectors who are owning the the piece, but in bits, in different bite-sized pieces. And when you look at like music, for example, if you were to have NFTs and they would have stem recordings, and you would merge those two stem recordings together or layer those on top of each other, you could then be able to create musical compositions that may or may not have never existed, because if you have a 10,000 generative, it could go on forever. Like what the possibilities are. And if you were to add in let's say it was an instrument, and then the instrument had where it was made, who it was made from, what the wood was, and you kind of started to build into, on the blockchain, inside of that metadata, some of that Rosetta Stone information, the future capabilities gets mind-blowing, because it then becomes that recipe for future, like civilizations to be able to build out and take those code and build it back out again. Sorry to get heady, but happy to share.
No, we appreciate it. Definitely
That's a
want to
great
go
point,
ahead.
Seth.
I
Beautiful
hope that,
point.
I hope that definitely answered your question, Charmaine. Thanks for coming up and ask that. That was amazing responses. Like, definitely hope y'all are taking some notes, guys. These people are a wealth of knowledge. Jameson, thank you so much. What is your question? And if we can, we have about 4 minutes, so we can have 3 more people come ask a question, and moderators, panelists, try to keep responses within 30 seconds to a minute. Thank you. Go ahead, Jamison.
I'm sorry if I got up in front of
No, you're
Mastermind. I just wanted to say, given that, the system we're living in now is, how could I describe it? We're branding ourselves. So teenagers are branding themselves on Instagram, and this is kind of creating a dystopian kind of society, because you have the person, and then you have the real person behind that. So everyone's become a marketeer, essentially. Even the person that is on Instagram, because you're branding yourself at such a young age. And I wondered, when you look at the creative industries and the creative world that we want to live in, where we have authentic art, what's the solution to this dilemma? If you understand what the point I'm trying to make.
I can lend some thoughts on that to some extent. Insta life versus real life. We're sort of feeling that conundrum, aren't we, of those kind of problems that we face, where people have these aspirational lives, and the way that we kind of put it out there, and what is that actually doing for creativity and for reality at the same time? I question that a lot. I think authenticity in the Web3 space is absolutely key, and there is nothing more important within the community than being your authentic self. So what I've seen over the last year in the landscape is a lot of people being vulnerable as much as they're being aspirational, and I think people and the community respond to that more so than they ever have done on Web2 social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok and wherever. That all seems quite contrived in comparison. So from a creative point of view, I think what we're seeing is actually an opportunity for people to really be expressive and to be creative and to be finding their tribes within Web3 like we haven't seen that before. And as long as, and I know this sounds a bit wishy-washy, but it does ring true here. If you do stick to your authentic self in the Web3 space and the NFT community in particular, I think that goes a hell of a lot longer way than it does trying to be something that you're not, to fit with a mold. And that's why we're seeing Web2 marketing, like influencer marketing and things like that, not work as well in the Web3 space as it has done in the Web2 space. I hope that kind of gives some sort of thoughts to your question.
Definitely. No, I agree with you. I mean, I have seen a lot of marketeers coming in here and, and kind of pushing the kind of marketing vibe. And I'm wondering if the solution is potentially artists cooperating and finding their art tribe before they find their promotional tribe.
Yes, I completely agree. You just have to look to an artist, a good friend of mine called Tina Eisen, who has been an artist artist in the space. She does this incredible photography with lips, and she said she wouldn't be anywhere like near where she is today if it wasn't for a group of other female NFT photographers that she met very early on in the space, and they basically were each other's hype machines. So every time one of them would post and share, then the community would share within that, and that would grow. And that's, you know, that's what it's all about. It's not about how many likes or whatever you're getting, or, you know, how rich you look in your photos or anything like that. It's about community at the end of the day.
I love that, and I hope that was able to give you some answers to that. I did want to give space for the last person that needed to ask a question, and that was Mastermind here. He raised his hand, so I'm going to give space for him to ask this question, and then what's going to happen is the official 1 hour will be over, guys. You can feel free to stay and converse with the speakers if they have time, but Mastermind, what is your question? Thank you again for everybody being here.
Yeah, real quick, man. I appreciate the conversation and what's going on, but just tying into the conversations I was having about gaming. So when do you see the everyday underground gamers, or the real people, the real gamers, just really seeing this space taking off for its Web3 perspective and everything that pay to play or whatnot? Like, when do you see that tidal wave just really hitting the crypto industry?
So I'll touch on it, and I'll touch on it in maybe not a direct response to console-based gaming or like Call of Duty or that.
Yeah,
I think that it really is about get in now, all right? And it's not about, like, you know, like Bex had mentioned before, like if you weren't in Bored Apes and you saw it pass by and 500 was too much and then 1500 was too much, well then 150,000 or 2.5 million is way too much. But you can build your alpha. And that alpha is basically a group that you see on this stage of people who are taking time out of their day to share with others and say, this is my experience, this is my passion, and this is where my life's pursuit is going to go. And that's, for me, it happens. I will speak to people on the phone on my days off, before work and after work. I have to make time for this, because if I get far away from this source, I'm gone. So for gamers, start now. Start to understand the blockchain, what crypto means, and choose what collections or what projects or what people you believe in. And it could be any combination of that. It does not have to be, I only like this founder, and then, you know, that's all I follow. It could be something that you like the art, you like the community that you found and that you've done it. Rengoku Legends right now, super dope. Drasco V has been somebody that has been on LinkedIn for the longest time, went from being an artist and sharing his portfolio to look for work to being a game creator who's now working with people who used to work at Ubisoft. Super Samurai, a game on NFT blockchain. But find out now what that looks like, because as you look at gaming and you look at those tenants, which is very similar to what hip hop has, DJs, MCs, breakers, you know, gamers, streamers, hosts, analysts.
Absolutely.
Like, find out what those components are and start to build your knowledge base. So when this does come around, you have that, like, you know, you have that edge. Microsoft is coming in this space without a doubt. They're working on it right now. So are all of the other big developers. They'll be coming into the space. But the question for them is, and sorry to go on a little bit past time, is the question for them is, will they actually give you something that is more than they've done before? Okay, Ubisoft's biggest misstep was they gave you something that looked like something they had already done, and there was no extra added value. Like in this space we talk about, we have to build value that maybe wasn't there. And that's where the innovations come in. And that's why folks like Bex can take on the big brands that are trying to do it right, because she's done her research. You know, and so I would say start with research and figure out what you like. But the big games are coming. They're going to follow in the footsteps of everybody here who's on this call right now, and then anybody who's making games inside of the space today.
Wow. I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you for giving my people hope. Thank you.
Guys, that was amazing, Juan Seth. Look, I'm going to connect with everyone in this room. That's what everyone needs to do. We've reached our hour mark. Thank you so much for being here. I'm continuously learning like we all are. There are no true experts, but there are people that are steps ahead to give us all the information that we so desire. And I think it's just been such a excellent panel today. Thank you again. At this time that you can choose, everyone can come on stage, and it is you can network. The networking zone, if you see the beige floor and the blue chairs, you can hear the people on stage. The quiet zone is near the pool and the grass area, so only people in your circle radar, you see that kind of halo. Those are the only people that can hear you, and then the people on stage, you can hear everyone else except those in the quiet zone. So again, thanks everybody for joining. Click my profile and join the Connect Club Discord. And guys, let's continue the conversation. If you see Forbes, you can come up. And if the panelists you have time, thank you. You can go ahead and we can just network. And thanks again for joining Connect Club for this conversation.
Kamaya, you did an awesome job too, by the way. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, thanks so much
Fantastic.
for moderating.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And look, I have
Excellent.
a fun time moderating. I think this is like the best thing ever.
You're natural at it.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Let's
guys.
get
That made me
some
feel great.
photos with Kamaya. With some hearts, y'all. Come on, speakers. Let's get a photo
Y'all are
with
very sweet.
Kamaya.
Oh
Y'all
yeah,
are
yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah. That's awesome. Get a photo. Yeah.
Yes, let's do a
Hey,
photo.
I want
I'm gonna
everybody
count for these hearts. I'm gonna count for these
Oh,
hearts.
this is dope.
Y'all all in there? Get all in there.
Blue
Oh
hearts,
yeah.
blue hearts,
This
blue
is epic.
hearts. Everybody,
Ready?
blue
Okay.
hearts.
One. Oh, sorry. We all started. Okay. Start over. One,
Oh,
two,
wait.
Everybody's gonna get in.
three. Okay.
Awesome.
Hey.
Commander
Thank
Price, Commander
you.
Price, come back up.
Let's
Oh,
go.
Wait, we got that man down,
I did
man
the best
down.
picture.
I caught it with
I'm
your
posting
finger up.
my IG,
We got
guys. This is
TP,
amazing.
TP is at the bottom. We gotta get TP.
I know you
Now
gotta join in.
Koss just
We're trying to
popped
get a
in.
group
I
photo.
walked away.
Hold on, we gotta
Hey,
get
nice
Koss.
Ruth.
Hey,
Yes.
Xander. Oh, one of
Hey.
my friends said to tell Xander that he's amazing and she wants to hear from you more. Wait, hold
Come
on.
on, Kaz, get up here.
Koss, you gotta
Get
come on,
up here.
Koss.
Oh, you know, she think Juana, the Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
Let's
she
give
loses
her a
Wi-Fi
minute.
a lot.
Let's
This
give her
is
a
like a
minute to
real
get
family
here with her
photo session
Wi-Fi.
right now.
Yeah,
Thank
she
you.
loses.
Juana.
There
Come
she
on,
comes.
There
Kaz.
she
Get
goes.
up.
Come
No,
on.
come
Welcome
on.
to
Yep, yep.
Yay.
Koss,
Yay.
yep. Come
Come on,
closer,
Kaz.
Koss.
Back it up.
Come closer, Koss.
Hey.
There we go. Connect Club Squad. Connect Club Squad.
Everybody
Hey.
smile.
TP
TP
amazing.
Squad.
Get your
So many good
profile
TP
pic
photos.
Squad.
smiling.
All right, now blue hearts. Blue hearts, blue hearts, blue hearts. Yes.
What a great way to
These are the
start my
Yes.
folks that
day.
are gonna come to
Oh,
hugging
we got a nice
people.
blue heart
Hugs,
in the
hugs,
air.
Now I
hugs.
got a
Oh,
whole day of real
nice.
work to do. This was good.
Hey.
I want to do
Yes.
more of
Right.
this.
This is awesome. Come here. This is awesome.
You did
Thank
such a
you.
good job. Thank
Thanks, guys.
you.
This was beautiful.
Dude, that was one of the
I have
best,
this is like the
best
best.
meetings on Connect Club ever. Like I've
I
been
was
over
gonna
here since there
I
was
was gonna say the
barely any.
same thing. I was
I
gonna say
like
the
the
same
interview
exact
part,
thing.
but we're all good on Clubhouse. That's why Connect Club. That's why we here on Connect Club because we're the best.
Yes, yes, Miss Christine.
Look
Seriously
like
though,
we're our own alpha right here.
Yeah,
yeah,
our own alpha.
The best.
that was one of my favorite interviews that we've had so far. I think honestly, to like community building, branding, those were like I think
Had
those
the
are the
best time.
most important topics that
Thank
we.
you, Fax. That was
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
right.
that was
good.
great.
That was a
Yeah,
good interview.
like everybody on the panel dropped so much alpha. I'm like feeling like I've been in a time machine. Like those nuts.
I know. I feel smarter now. Like, and I was asking those questions. I was like, woo, I love it.
Fax. Do you have a little bit of free time? We have a game here by this gentleman right here. His name is Happy. He has
Yeah.
the Happy Space Station once he gets off the phone. But it's hide and go seek in the Connect, and we all wear the spaceship avatar, and then we just try to find each other. So far, I am undefeated. Yes, yes. So I challenge you
That's fun.
hide
I've not got
or
much
to
phone
seek.
battery left. I need to be
Oh,
careful. That's the only thing. I was going to stay here as long as I can before my phone cuts out. I'm on the last 10%, so I'm a little bit worried.
yeah.
Look back. I'm trying to figure out how we can continue to talk. Like we
Yeah,
need
yeah,
more
with the
women
skin, it does take up a
in
little
the
more
space
space.
to come together as well.
Yeah, I'm there for it. I'm there to. I'm here to help more women feel empowered in this space, and I'm more than happy to kind of continue conversations. Guys, connect with me on LinkedIn. Perfect on LinkedIn, and yes, that is my real surname.
Who's
I've
talking?
had to look
That's
up
your
to.
real name. I love it. I'm gonna
Who's
connect with you right
talking?
now. I'm connecting with
Connect with me there.
all the amazing
Thank you.
speakers.
My YouTube
I'm
channel is
there.
is in my bio as well. So guys, if you want some extra
Back.
education, I'm there for you guys.
Thank you.
Thank
You
you.
can create it as a hyperlink as well, Miss Bex.
Say again?
You can create it as a hyperlink.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so just highlight that and then copy, and then you can press back on it, and it gives you the prompts, copy, paste a link over there as well.
Oh, amazing. Okay.
And Xander, I'm messaging you right now on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Thank you.
I mean, I had the best time. I know so many people that really need this information, and like people are always trying to learn new things. I want to be able to always align with people that know whatever knowledge base or wheelhouse they are. So all of this, like I'm trying to promote everybody in here. That's like my goal.
I love it. I
Kamaya,
love it.
you always are doing amazing. We're always like this community. We all talk about building bridges, connecting our communities, as many spaces as we can. And I came into this and listened and just like evolved another level with everybody else in this space. I'm right here beside both of you, Bex and Xander, connecting with you. Once you hyperlink, I definitely want to figure out also ways to connect. But Kamaya, you did a phenomenal job as always, and just your energy. This was a very, I agree with Meta Ruth. This is a very, very, amazing interview, and yeah, just happy to be a part.
Thank you so much. It was so fun. It's like I want to definitely.
What happened? Come on.
I've managed to
No.
hyperlink, guys. It's all hyperlinked now.
I know, right? We gotta
Anthony
get
was
everybody's
dope.
information. I want to connect with you as well. Just so much wealth of knowledge, and I love like the insights of how like building brands in metaverse and those experiences. My light bulbs went off talking to all of you. Like my mind was like, "Ooh, this is like this is alpha. This is some high quality alpha, literally."
Yeah, that part where somebody was saying, you did a great job, by the way. And it's just fun to watch how this club has developed into the awesomeness it is today. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Metaruth. So that's what I'm saying. But anyway, like,
oh, happy. I love you.
The part